Hi everyone. In this video, I want to give an update on the progress on uh, decoding and showing how your various one steps are constructed. Uh, as with all these videos, before I get to that, I want to remind you all that every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, I host the Cortex users group. It's an opportunity for you to talk to me, talk to anyone else who's using Cortex at any stage in their journey, either thinking about using it, actively using it, anywhere in between. Uh, Ask questions, learn more about Cortex, maybe see a sneak preview of some features that are coming up, like what you're about to see in this video. Um, and it's just an hour that I set aside for a virtual, it's a Zoom call, um, and it's set aside specifically for that. Same time every week, just for you all. If you want to join that, if you want an invitation, there's a link down in the description below where you can request an invitation. It's totally automatic, so you enter your email address and you get an invitation in your inbox. Um, Hope to see you there again every Tuesday, 10 a.m. Pacific time. With that, let's talk about the progress on OneSteps. So in some previous demos, you may have seen screens like this. This more or less the same screen that I'm using for the saved searches functionality, um, and actually some other things. So this is my dev environment. So you see some extra stuff that might come to Cortex at some point in the future. Um, but we're going to focus on this actions, which is soon to be renamed OneSteps. This experimental tab here. We're going to stick with incident because that's what I've been working with for developing most of the time. Um, and I'm going to start with the same one step that I demoed with uh, or demoed this feature with the last time, which was a month or two ago. So this escalation to level 2 or 3. So you'll see there's a decision one step action called decide between multiple cases. You can see it has different uh, steps. One improvement that's been made is we now actually see the conditions that correspond to each one of these uh, cases. In this case, they're all stored expressions. So this stored expression, escalations have already been made. Stored expression is escalate to level 3. This one is still empty. That's just the way it was configured. If you open it up in Cherwell, you would see 3 cases plus the default case. This third case would just be blank. So that's not anything new that I'm doing in Cortex. I am showing faithfully exactly what was configured in Cherwell. So in this case, we have a pop-up to execute commands. I improved the way some of these things display a little bit so that they kind of read a little more narrative-like. Um, executes the system command save. So it's a little more explanatory, especially helpful for folks who may never have used Cherwell, right? So this is basically telling the story of what the one step did, uh, and the goal is that even if you've never used Cherwell, you can pretty much understand what the one step did. It created an incident, it set these fields. Regardless of what system you're using, the idea of creating an incident and setting fields is a thing. um, Save, system command save. Okay, you can imagine that there was a system command that saved, and presumably that saves the record, which we all know in the Cherwell world that is in fact what it did. Then refresh, right? Refresh the page, refresh the view, that sort of thing. Another thing that I've added is the certain actions had a condition on them, right? So they would only execute if a particular condition was true, um, and that was at the step level, not just decide between multiple cases, but individual steps could be basically toggled on or off based on some condition. like this no third level team pop-up, which we obviously only want to show if there is no third level team. If we hover over the conditional, you probably won't see it on the video, but you can see it's the condition is incident.level3 escalation team is empty. And in fact, if we expand it, it's a little more visible there. So I'm noting there that conditionally, um, if it's that condition, incident.level3 escalation team is empty. And then of course the details of the pop-up. It shows the notification, and this is the actual thing that the pop-up shows, right? Similarly, this is conditional, and we have level 2 escalation complete equals true, and level 3 escalation complete does not equal true. Okay, that makes sense. And of course, the details of what it does, right? So this one step is pretty much more of the same, everything else. I don't think I added much else to anything else. No, I cleaned up some of the descriptions or some of the yeah, field values. So like this was tokenized, um, and I think this is a an expression. Basically, it's showing how the expression would be evaluated. Let me scroll up a little bit so you can actually see that. Yeah. So this is it sets a description to this is an escalation to level 3 because, and then the value of the prompt, which actually happened up here, and you see this is also not ugly. Before, this was a bunch of rich text formatting control strings. Um, that's not helpful. No one wants to actually read that. So now I'm interpreting that and just spitting out exactly what the result would be. So in this case, it's this particular step updates a stored value called third level escalation, and it gets its value by popping a prompt, right? Nothing fancy. Everything's pretty straightforward. Um, but let's look at something that is a little bit more involved, like this one. There's a lot going on here. So we have some update stored values, which we saw already. Updates BizUp, we saw already. Execute command, we saw already. But then we have run related. So I believe what this step did was it ran some one step actions against all of the items in a collection or in a in the relationship. At least that's what the details in the database made it look like. So for the items in the relationship, incident links service catalog template, run these steps, and it updates some stored values, right? It does some math here. You can see there are still some things in progress. I'm still um, not finding basically placeholders in Cherwell were called tokens. And it turns out that there are many different places to find these tokens. Um, and there are still a few places that I just haven't figured out where they're coming from yet. So I'm in the process there. And this actually, um, this particular value has the evaluate value as mathematical expression set on it. I need to figure out where that is and display that somehow. Um, let's see. Then we have some things that show up like JSON, and obviously that's not showing up properly. So still working out a few things here and there, um, but then we get things like go to one step action. Um, this I introduced a little bit of formatting for some of the things so that it became easier to read. So it wasn't all just a wall of text, right? So here we have basically if this expression, which record counter equals 0, then go to a specific step action, which is called confirm when 0. There are still some little formatting tweaks that I'll probably make here or there, like in this spot, I'll probably put quotes around confirm when 0. So if it's a string, if it's a name of something, I'll put quotes around it. If it's a reference to something, I'll probably put it in square brackets. Um, something that's kind of more on the like an internal name side of things. If it's a specific like keyword, it'll probably end up in this red text. Um, similarly here, otherwise just go to the next step. And here there were only a few other details, so I figured why not just show the details. So we've got that going on there. Pop up, run related, all the same stuff. Um, I forget exactly what went into which one of these uh, actions, but we probably have something like, yeah, here we're running an action block, right? This was something that new that was introduced in one of the later 10.0 releases, maybe in 10.0. I don't remember exactly when, but somewhere in that range, 10.0, 10.1, 10.2, somewhere in there. So that you could basically create parameterized mini one steps, right? That obviously had parameters. So in this case, run generic email, runs the action block, generic email template, and sets a few parameters. So the to address grabs a field, which is customer.email, the greeting, dear field customer first name, and so on and so forth. Um, not sure what's going on here. Again, that's something that I need to figure out. Um, the nice thing is that because I'm not actually trying to run these one steps, I don't necessarily need to have everything 100% figured out. Um, I believe, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, add and comments down below. Um, but I suspect that getting things like 95% accurate is probably going to fit the bill for what I'm trying to do here. The idea is, what were we actually doing back when we were using Cherwell, right? What did the one step do? Um, in this case, does it really matter what the public ID was? Maybe, maybe not. Uh, I think we can all imagine that if we're sending a follow-up email, the to address is probably going to be the customer's email address. But it might be nice to show if this is something other than customer.email. Maybe this is incident.requester email, right? Maybe we've pulled that onto the incident uh, record itself. So that's good information to see. Uh, but in general, we're probably looking for the overall structure of the one step, the overall process, any nuances that went into it, and most of that is going to be captured by the overall structure. So the fact that we have multiple cases, or we're running against a relationship, we're doing something, across multiple CIs. There's one that does that. Let's see, where is that? I think it's can create change from incident. Nope, I will find it. Convert to major incident. No, that's not it either. Create problem from incident is probably it. Yeah, here we go. Transfer related items, right? This is something that's valuable to know that we decided that we were going to link all of the CIs related to this incident up to the problem, right? That's something that might not be the same for everybody's process. That's something that might evolve as your process evolves, and that might be something that you want to know, that this is how we were doing it in Cherwell, but when we moved to ServiceNow, Easy Vista, Halo ITSM, we decided to change that. We decided we didn't need to have all the CIs connected to the problem. We just wanted to have all the related incidents connected to the problem. Maybe that's a decision you make. I'm just kind of spitballing here. Um, but that would be a good thing to know, that back when you were using Cherwell, this is a thing that you were doing. You were copying those CIs from incident to problem. So anyway, I could easily go into a bunch of these different one steps and show all the different details that I've added. But that's the overview. I'm adding more details. I'm supporting more steps. Um, at this point in time, I think I've supported um, the vast majority of the steps that people are actually using. So far, I've basically been going through all of those incident one steps and starting at the top and making sure that each one of them renders properly, shows something helpful. Um, and at this point, I'm supporting more than half of the types of one step. Um, Things that I know I'm not supporting are send email, which probably is a common one. I'll probably need to support that one here pretty soon. Excel merge, that one might be kind of tricky, but I might need to support that. Uh, Queue operation, I actually do support, even though I don't think a whole lot of people are actually using queues. That was in the one of the example one steps. Um, delete one step, sorry, delete bizob. I don't know if anyone's actually deleting BizOps from a one step. So, that one just might not get implemented for a while. It won't break the UI. It just doesn't show up as being implemented. It just shows kind of the header and no details. It shows the serialized XML as the details, but it's nothing particularly helpful. Um, if there's a particular type of one-step action that you use a lot, go ahead and leave a comment down below in the comment section, and I'll make sure to implement it. Ideally, I'm trying to get this into a usable state by the time 1.6 ships out. I know I've been promising it for 1.5 and then 1.6. Um, at the very least, whatever I have, whatever you saw in this video, will ship in 1.6 behind an experimental flag. So you can certainly enable it, but if I don't get to a point where I feel comfortable with it being a release ready, production ready feature, um, it'll just be experimental, but it'll still be in there. You'll still be able to take advantage of it. Um, I will say that this uh, implementing this feature has taught me a lot about the system and a lot of the nuances and details that even when I worked at Cherwell, I knew there were a lot of uh, weird things and a lot of nuances, um, but not to this level. It's been incredible. It's definitely been quite the rabbit hole. It's the rabbit hole that keeps on giving. Um, I know there are going to be things that don't get implemented even when this is ready to ship. But again, 95% of the way there. And just like with everything else, if you um, notice something as you're using it, uh, notice something that just doesn't seem right, or you're curious if something is actually being rendered correctly, um, let me know and I'll look into it. You can always get me a structure only czar that has all the one step stuff in it. Structure and lookup is also helpful, mainly for some of the other data related stuff. But obviously the structure and lookup has all the structure stuff, all the one step data in it. Um, and I'll take a look at it and see if there's something that maybe I am just not showing it exactly the way that uh, is 100% truthful to the way you've built it in Cherwell. But we can certainly work through that. Um, yeah, let me know. Let me know if you have questions. Let me know if there are features you want to see. Um, as I get this particular feature wrapped up, I also plan on kind of exposing it in some of the other areas. So, like I pointed out, that dashboards menu item, I'll probably implement something around dashboards, and because one steps can get fired from dashboards, I'll probably have something where if you click on something on a dashboard that fires a one step, it actually goes you to the one step details and shows you all that stuff. Um, Similarly, I might do something around the forms, so you can see the details of the forms and some of those links that right now they aren't clickable when you're viewing the data because they would fire a one step. I probably won't make them clickable on that view and have them go to the one step details page just because your the use case is different, but there might be an area in the future where you can see the details of how the forms were built and what one steps were fired from where. I don't know. Just ideas at this point, not making any promises. But what you actually saw definitely will ship as part of 1.6, whether it's available directly from the menu or has to be toggled on, still remains to be seen. But all of the functionality will be present in 1.6. And if you want to have access to it, you can have access to it. That'll certainly be a thing. Um, this video is getting kind of long, so I'm going to wrap it up. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you at the Cortex users group, and stay tuned for next week's video, where I'm not sure what we'll do for next week's video. Probably a lot of little features, because I am trying to wrap up 1.6 on schedule for the end of October. And there are still a couple smaller things, important things, but smaller things that I want to get in. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next week.